Okay, good evening, everyone. As we have the pleasure of finishing another perek this evening, and we are holding on Daf Samach Aleph Amid Beis, and we are holding by Va'akati, which is 5 lines from the bottom. 5 lines from the bottom of Daf Samach Aleph Amid Beis, learning with the tefillah that all those that are waiting to have their children in yeshiva should do so with no more aggravation. If they're not in yeshiva yet, they've already had aggravation. But there should be no more aggravation, and should be sweetness and pleasantness. We also want to learn for Avigdor Aryeh ben Rivka and Yehudis Shendel Bas Rivka. They should have a refuah shalema b'sech she'achel Yisrael. We are again by V'akate. The Gemara says we say that we don't suspect an Amaretz on exchanging something, and the Gemara still finds that difficult to match up with a lot of teachings. V'akate la'alma loichai shinon. Do we not? Are we not afraid of a switcheroo? V'atanya eishes chaver toichenes im eishes amaretz. A eishes chaver could grind. Eishes chaver is, of course, the wife of somebody that's careful to tithe, and with tumah, she could work with the wife of an amaretz bisman she tameya, when she's tamei, because since when she's tamei she doesn't touch tyrus, so she won't come to eat something from the amaretz. Avaloi bisman she tyra, but not when she's starved, because then she might mistakenly eat something from the amaretz, who is suspected not to take off tithing and to not be careful with tumah. Reb Shimon ben Elazar, af bisman she tameya, even when she's tamei loy titchain, she shouldn't grind with the wife of the amaretz. Mipnei shechaberta noisenes la va'ocheles, because her friend will take from the stuff and give her. Now Rashi learns that the kasha is, but how could she give her without getting permission from her husband? It belongs to her husband. How could she give her? So if we say that she's suspected to steal, then she surely should be suspected to make a switcheroo. Hashta mignav ganva, if she would even steal from her husband, chilufei loy michlafa, would she not make a switcheroo? So Amar Rabbi Yosef says, no, she assumes that her husband will do the decent thing, that if a woman is working, that she could have something. It's even an animal. It says, you shouldn't muzzle an ox while he's working. So Amar Rabbi Yosef Hosam Nami Moria Va'amra, she says, my husband will definitely okay it. Tura medishe kachel, even an ox eats when it threshes. Now the Gemara tells us, I made a bracha already, Rabbi say. Heyed Rabbi Yosi ben Meshulam, as we welcome in Mel Zachter. Heyed Rabbi Yosi ben Meshulam, Rabbi Yosi the son of Meshulam testified Mishum Rabbi Yochanan Achiv, in the name of his brother Rabbi Yochanan, Sh'amar Mishum Rabbi Elazar ben Chisma, who had it in the name of Rabbi Elazar ben Chisma. And by the way, when it says Rabbi Yochanan Achiv Sh'amar Mishum Rabbi Elazar ben Chisma, you notice that sometimes the Gemara just says, "Hey, Rabbi Yosef ben Chisma, Mishum Rabbi Yochanan Achiv Sh'amar Rabbi Elazar ben Chisma." When it says Mishum Rabbi Elazar ben Chisma, that means that he didn't hear it directly from him. That's why it adds in the name of Rabbi Elazar ben Chisma. Ein oisin chalas amaretz b'tara. You can't prepare the challah of an amaretz in tara. Now, if an amaretz asked for a gabel is a kneader, who is a chaver, and he wants him to separate challah of an amaretz, he can't do that. The reason is because since the dough that came from the amaretz is assumed to be tamei, if the chaver separates the challah, so the kohen might think that since a chaver separated the challah, the kohen might think that the challah is tar. So again, let's see this inside. Ein oisin chalas ha'ma'aretz b'tara. You cannot prepare the challah of a dough of an ha'ma'aretz in tara. Aval oisin isa schulin b'tara. But what he can do is the ha'ma'aretz could give him grain, and he could prepare the isa b'tara, because now he's doing it from the start. He got it before it was hukshiru l'kabel tuma. He could prepare the dough b'tara, v'noita leimena k'dei challah, and he could separate a shear of challah and put it umanicha b'kfisha oy b'anchusa. Now, kfisha or anchusa are makeshift holders out of dried out leather that are not makabel tuma. And he puts the chulin in one, the challah in another, so that if the amaretz, who we assume is tamei, holds the receptacle, it's not going to become tamei, because these withered leather receptacles can't become tamei. Ukishaba amaretz lito, when the amaretz comes to take it, noitel esteyan, he takes both of them. And the chaver doesn't have to worry that the amaretz will touch the challah itself and be metameyet. However, again, the ein oisin chumas zeisav b'tara. That means that after the amaretz prepared the truma, after the amaretz prepared the oil, right? It was or not oil, but he prepared the olives already for the press, and we assume that the olive was oozing oil and it became tamei. So again, the chaver can't separate the truma, because the kohen will assume that since the chaver separated the truma, that it's tar. Aval oisin zeisim chulin b'tara, but he can prepare the olives himself, v'noitel eimena k'dei truma, and take from it truma, umanika b'kelyoy shel chaver, and he places it in his own keli, which is not tamei. Ukishaba amaretz lital, and when the amaretz comes to take it, noitel eshtei, and he takes them both. Ve'ena chayshish, and we're not worried that the amaretz is going to touch the truma now. Says the Gemara, v'taima mai. Why do we give these leniencies? I mean, it's not it's a very good chance that the amaretz will touch the challah and will touch the truma. Why are we allowing these things? So the Gemara says there's considerations. V'taima mai amar Reb Yochanan mishum k'dei chayav de gabel, because we gotta let the kneader make a panasa. If the kneader would not be able to do for any of the amaratzim, he's not going to be able to pay his tuition. Or mishum k'dei chayav de badat, and we need to worry about the livelihood of the presser. Utsricha, and we need to teach both cases, the case of the dough and the case of the olives. The iashmin and gabel, if we would say the kneader You know why? Because kneading is not a big parnasa. Mishum Doloi Nafesh Agra, he doesn't get paid that much, so we got to give him a break. Avobada, the presser that makes a lot of money, the Nafesh Agra, maybe we don't give him the break. Yash min Bada, the presser, Mishum Doloi Shchiach, because you don't have a lot of work. Avogabel the Shchiach, even though he doesn't make a lot of money, but he has a lot of work. I might think we don't give the leniency. Kamash Blon Tzricha, then in both cases we do. Just want to welcome in Avram Schenkman, Richard Rosenzweig, Ilya Shutman, Dr. Guy, everybody, Mel, just coming and joining us. It's great to see everybody. Berish Kesselman, who's here, lone holding the fort here tonight. So now, the Gemara is going to analyze a little bit the teachings that we just taught. He removes chala, and he puts it into these holders, which are not considered kalim that are mekabel tama. When Amoritz takes it, he takes them both, and we're not afraid that he's going to touch it. So the Gemara says, but why aren't we afraid? So the Gemara says that the Chaver tells the Amoritz, if you touch it, you're going to really lose out. It's going to cause you a loss. The Amrin Lechazi, you should see, inagasba, if you touch the challah, then hadra letivla, then your dough will revert back to tevel, and you're going to have to separate challah again. Says the Gemara, but why don't we worry that he won't care? So the Gemara says, what do you mean? He brought it to the chaver in order to fix it. And here he brought it to him in order to be mafresh the challah. How can you say he's not going to care? Amar, now the Gemara says about the truma, that noitale mena kidei truma, he takes the amount from truma. We said that amidas, an ayin yafa is a 40th, an ayin ra is a 60th, and the midah beininus is a 50th. I told you many times that the reason why it's called truma is a corruption of trei meya, 2 out of 100, which is the 50th. So that's the midah beininus. So says the Gemara, Amar, noitel emena kidei truma. He takes the shir truma, umanicha bekelyo shel chaver, and he puts it into his keli. Ukeshaba Amoritz lital, and when Amoritz comes to take it, noitel estein, he takes both the chulin and the truma, veina chayshish, and we're not worried that he's going to touch it. So again, the Gemara says, v'leichish dilma nagaba. Why aren't we concerned that he's going to touch it? Bishlai mahasam in over there, isla hakera. There. We said that the Gabo gave him a warning that if you touch it, it's going to revert back to tevel. But hacha may hekerika. But over here, what heker is it? First of all, the Gemara says that there's a heker by the challah that he put it in that withered leather kalim. So there's a heker that he shouldn't touch it. But hacha may hekeriously. So you'll say there is a heker because he put it in the chaver's keli. Right? There is a heker. So I guess that's not enough because it's in a usual keli that it usually is in. So the Gemara says no. The keli that he gives it to him in is a keli. Now we have to understand that for sure he gave it to him in a clay cheres, because if he gave it into a metal keli, then when the Amoritz touches it, and he might have a tumah of a zav, he would make the keli tamei, and then so he gave it to him in an earthenware vessel. But earthenware vessel is not such a hacker. Says the Gemara, no, the manachle beklei glolim, beklei avonim, and beklei adama. He put it in dungware, or stoneware, or earthenware that wasn't baked yet in the kiln, which is not makabel tumah, and that's the hacker. So the Gemara says, Ihachi, if that's the case, my area, the chaver, why does he have to give him the kalim of the chaver? He could even put it into the kalim of the Amoritz if it's dungware. Afilu the Amoritz nami, even if he puts it in dungware, stoneware, or earthware that wasn't baked in the kiln, there can't be makabel tumah. It could even be the kalim of the Amoritz. So the Gemara says, you're right. Hachinami kama, that's what it means. Bekalim shel Amoritz, in a keli of Amoritz, haru'uyin l'shtamish ben chaver, which is fit for a chaver who is worried about tumah, because these kalim are invincible to tumah. Now the Mishnah says, "Marzikin yedei oivdei kechavim b'shvius." We could help the goyim on shvius. Now that sounds like we could actually work on the land that belongs to them. Marzikin. You're not allowed to hold together with a guy on land during Shemitah. Nor can you say shalom, shalom. It's enough to say shalom once. You don't say shalom twice. Says the Gemara, when it says marzikin, it doesn't mean working with them. It just means that you could tell them, Yasher keichacha, you should be strengthened. To just give them encouragement, to say you should be strong. You should be strong. You should have strength. You don't double peace to a guy. It seems to be that the custom is I said to you shalom, you answered me back shalom, shalom. So in order that Rav Chisda shouldn't have to say a double shalom to a guy, he would always proffer the shalom first. Rav Kahana amalei shalom lamar. Now this is very interesting. This is Rashi says that really Rav Kahana didn't want it. The only reason to say shalom is because of Darkei Shalom. He really didn't want to grant them peace. They make problems. So therefore he said Shalom Lamar, and in his mind, he had in mind his Rebbe. Shalom Lamar. May his Rebbe have peace. He didn't have the guy in the mind, but he wanted it should be Darkei Shalom. So therefore he said Shalom Lamar. V'shayalin b'shleiman, and you could inquire of their welfare. So the Gemara says, well, that seems to be obvious. If you could wish them strength, then shayalin b'shleiman boy, you should surely be able to just ask them how they're doing. Says the Gemara, the chiddush over here is you're allowed to do it even on their holiday. Now, normally we're not supposed to do things for them on their holiday, because then they'll go into the church and thank their God that the Jew was nice. But because of Darkei Shalom, you could greet them even on their holiday. On their holiday. The Tanya, you shouldn't visit a guy on his holiday and give him a greeting. Don't proffer the greeting, because you don't want him to go thank his God. So, if you find him in the market, so you don't have a choice, nice and like b'safa rafa, you give it in a low voice, and in a serious manner, in a way that he's not going to get so excited about. And here again, it's amazing. This is the second time recently we've had this lesson. Rav Huna Rav Chisda was sitting, Chalafa Ozil Gniva. The great scholar, Geniva, was passing by. Amalei chad lechavre, so one said to his friend, we should stand up. Neika mekamei debar aryanu, we should stand up. He's a Torah man, and it says, right, hadarto mipnei zaken. Zaken is zekana chachma, one who acquires wisdom. Amalei, so we can't stand up for him. Mikame palga neika. Before an argumentative person, we could stand up. The Torah, remember we just learned, Shekala Torah nitna lasa shalom ba'olam. And therefore, before somebody who's the antithesis of the Torah, should we stand up? Adahachi asa iu legabai. He came before them. Amalahu, so he greeted them, Shalma aleichem malkei, Shalma aleichem malkei. Peace unto you, kings, peace unto you, kings. So they asked him, Amalei minolach the Rabbanan ikru malachim. How do you know that Rabbanim are called kings? Amalahu dichsiv, it says, be through the Torah malachim yemleichu. Kings are appointed. Amalei minolan the kaflin on shlom alamalchei. How do we know that we repeat shalom? You said shalom twice to us. How do you know that you repeat shalom to a king? And a spirit enveloped Amasai, Rosh Hashalishin. He was one of the heads of the officers, and he said, for you, David, shalom lecha, ben Yishai, shalom shalom. You should have peace. So it repeats shalom to the king. Amrulay. So they said to him, Litay mar midei, taste something. We have some food here, taste something. So he says, I can't taste something until I feed my animal. Amalahu, Hachi Amarav, Yud Amarav. A person can't taste anything until he feeds his animal, because that's the order in Kriya Shema that we say every day. You give food to grass to your animal, and only then the Cheshukei Chemed brings down a fascinating shaila. I believe that they asked the Chazon Ish. Somebody had a mouse trap in his house, and it caught a mouse. So now the mouse was in his keli, so it became his mouse. So he wanted to know if he could eat the cholent before feeding the mouse. There's a mouse. Perish likes the shaila, right? Chazon Ish says he could eat his cholent, he doesn't have to worry. Hanu lachanizakin, Mamish Mazel Tov, Rabbi say, we're already starting the 6th perek of Masechtas Gittin. And don't look now, but we have just a month to go to finish Gittin. Mamish a month. Daf Tadi is the end of Gittin. And then we're ready to start Kiddushin. Obviously, unbelievable the accomplishment if you learn Torah every day. I just want to mention to all those people out there in the wild blue yonder of TorahAnytime.com that I still did not receive a sponsor for this week's Chumash Year. So if somebody would like to sponsor the Chumash Year, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Some of these Chumash Yerim have almost 600 people listening to them when they're broadcast live on TorahAnytime.com Thursday night at 9, and that's besides the people that are listening on Kalaloshin and on YouTube and on Facebook and Zoomers and subscribers. So a lot of people are listening to this year. Now, I just want to make it clear. There's two things. There's a shliach lo'ilacha and there's a shliach l'kabbalah. If Chatzkel sends to his wife Sarah and he tells Berish, bring the get to Sarah, so then Berish is shliach lo'ilacha. And she's only divorced when Berish gives her the get. However, if Sarah says to Berish, accept the get for me, so then if Chatzkel gives the Berish the get, then she's divorced as soon as Chatzkel gives her the get, because then Berish is a shliach l'kabbalah, a shliach for acceptance, and he's accepting it on behalf of Sarah. Now, with that difference in mind, let's see the next Mishnah. Ha'omer hiskabel get zeh ishti. If Chatzkel tells Berish, accept this get for my wife. Now, Chatzkel can't make Berish a shliach l'kabbalah, because a get is detrimental for a woman. She loses her support, she loses her companionship, so therefore, ain't zachan la'adam shalei b'fanav. So Berish can't be a shliach l'kabbalah if the husband says until it gets to her hand. So Aimer is kabel get zeh ishti. Accept this get for my wife. Oy hoylech get zeh ishti, or take this get to my wife. Imrotza lazar, if the husband wants to retract before Berish gets to Sarah, yazar, he could retract. Ha'isha she'amar hiskabel ligiti, but if Sarah says to Berish, accept the get on my behalf, then once Chatzkel gives the get to Berish, she's divorced. And then Imrotza lazar lo yazar, he can't retract before Berish gets to Sarah, because she's divorced as soon as Berish gets it. Lefikach im amaloi habal. If in the event that Sarah told Berish to be a shliach l'kabbalah, but the husband says, nothing doing, I'm not giving it to you that it should be, you should accept it for her. I am only giving it for you to be a shliach lo'ilacha. Lefikach im amalei habal, if she should tekabbalah, I don't want you to accept it on her behalf, ela hoylech v'tein, but rather take it and give it to her, then imratza lazar yazar, then he could retract before Berish gets to her. Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer, afa omeris toli giti. Now that's a little bit of an ambiguity. Even if she says, take my get, now you could think it means take my get to me, but no. If she says, take my get, it means take it and accept it. Then, imratza lazar, then if the husband just gives it to Berish, she wants to retract, lo yazar, because take it means take it for me now, be a shliach l'kabbalah. So now let's see what the Gemara does with this. Amalei Rav Achabrei Rav Avil Rav Ashi, Taima deloy shavisi ihi shliach l'kabbalah. When the husband says his skabel get zeh ishti, when he tells Berish, accept this get for my wife, the reason why he could back out until it gets to her is only because Sarah didn't make Berish a shliach l'kabbalah. Hashavise ihi shliach l'kabbalah, but if she made Berish a shliach l'kabbalah, and the husband said his skabel giti, rotza lazar lo yazar. If he wants to retract, he can't retract. So we see that when he says his skabel get, take the get, shmami no hoylech kezachi dami. Now when he says, excuse me, even if he said hoylech get zeh ishti, the only time we say that he could back out and she's not divorced is only because she didn't make Berish a shliach l'kabbalah. But if she made Berish a shliach l'kabbalah and Chatzkel said take it, hoylech, then he can't back out, because hoylech means take it and accept it. Shmami no hoylech kezachi dami. And we don't say hoylech means no, I don't want you to accept it now. I want you to take it to her. Says, well, no, it's no raya. That if he says hoylech and she made him a shliach to accept it, then she wouldn't be divorced. Because hoylech means take it and not be zeichen it. V'skabel get leishti etzrichalei. But rather the chiddush over here is where he said, accept this get for my wife. I might think that where he tells Berish, accept this get for my wife, even when Berish brings it to Sarah, she's not divorced. Because he only has said, accept it. Now, he can't accept it because she didn't make him a shlich l'Kabbalah. But Chatzkel did not tell Berish to bring it to her. So I might think, V'skabel get leishti etzrichalei. The Solkadai Tachamina, I might think, Hoyalu bal lav bar shavya shliach l'Kabbalah. The husband can't make Berish a shlich to accept it now because ein choven la'adam shaloi b'fanav. You can't. It's detrimental, and Berish can't accept it on her behalf. Then afal gav demata gita liyada. Even when he brings the get to Sarah, I might think loy lahavigita because he didn't make him a shliach loy lacha. He only said it accepted on her behalf now. Kamash malan that when he said his kabel, he meant his kabel v'hoylech kamer. He meant accept it and bring it. Now, 2 lines from the wide lines on Daf Samach Beis Amid Beis. Tanan, we'll enter the Mishnah. Ha'isha she'amra hiskabli ligiti. If Sarah said to Berish, accept the get on my behalf, imrotza lazer lo yazer. If Chatzkel wants to back out, he can't back out because once he gives the get to Berish, she's divorced. My love, loishna akabola, loishna ahalacha. That's going back whether the husband said to Berish, accept it for her, or if Berish said, or whether Chatzkel said to Berish, accept it for her, or Chatzkel said to Berish, take it to her. Even so, as soon as Berish accepts it, she's divorced when she made Berish a shlich l'Kabbalah. So you see that hoylech is kizachi dami. Says, no, a Kabbalah. It's only where the husband said, accept it. If the husband said hoylech, maybe he's changing and saying, I don't want you to accept it now. I want you to take it to her. So we don't have a raya. Toshma, lefikach im amalei habal. If she shetikabbalah, if the husband says, I don't want you to accept it on her behalf, but rather take it and give it to her. She made Berish a shlich l'Kabbalah, but the husband said nothing doing. I don't want you to accept it and now she should be divorced. You have to take it to her. This way I leave myself a grace period to catch up to you and change my mind. But that's only because Taima de Amar if she, I don't want it. Haloy Amar if she, the fact that he just said Hoylech doesn't change it. Haloy Amar if she, Imratza Laza, Lo Yaza. So Shma Mina, if he just said Hoylech, and he didn't say I don't want it to be a Shliach Kabbalah, he just said Hoylech, Shma Mina Hoylech Kezachi. Says the Gemara, Dilma, it's not where he said Hoylech, but rather where he said Behelech, where he says, here it is. So if he says, here it is, plain, so then she would be divorced. But if he says, if she, I don't want you to accept it on her behalf, but Helech, here it is, meaning go take it to her. But if he said Hoylech, maybe Hoylech would countermand it, even without saying if she, because Hoylech means take it and don't acquire it now. So now the Gemara says, I understand that a man could be a shliach lo'ilacha, because the husband takes the get. So a man could be a shliach to take the get. I understand that a woman could be a shliach l'Kabbalah, because the wife accepts the get. Question is, can a woman be a shliach lo'ilacha, and could a man be a shliach l'Kabbalah? Let's see it inside. Pshita ish avishlich lahoylacha. We understand that a man could bring a get. Shekain baal, my look at lishtay. Husband takes a get to his wife. V'isha avi shliach l'kabbalah. And we understand that a woman could be a shliach to accept a get. Shekain isha mekabelas get miyad bala. But ish l'kabbalah, could a man accept a get on behalf of a woman? V'isha l'hilacha, and a woman, can she take a get? Mai. So Tajma, ha'omer his kabel get zel ishti. If he says, accept this get on behalf of my wife, or get zel ishti, or take this get to my wife, in both of these cases, he's a shliach l'chaylacha, so he could change his mind until he gets to the woman. But if the woman says, accept the get on my behalf, so you're making a shliach kabbalah, now, my love, it's talking, both are talking about berish, like we explained in the Mishnah. My love b'chat shliach, it's the same person, both examples. So you see, berish, who's a man, could be both a shliach l'halacha and a shliach l'kabbalah. V'shmami not kosher l'kabbalah and kosher l'halacha. They could do both. Says Malay, b'shnei shluchim. The first case of the shliach l'halacha, it's talking about when the shliach was a man. The second case, where it's a shliach l'kabbalah, it's talking about when the shliach was a woman. Tashma, lefikach im amalei habal. If the husband says, "If she shit kabbalah," I don't want you to accept it for her. So he's countermanding the shliach l'kabbalah. Ella haylech v'tein, rather take it and give it to her. He could change the shlichus, and then he could retract until it gets to. So you see, initially the shliach was a shliach l'kabbalah, and the husband changed it to a shliach l'halacha. So you see, so the Gemara says, well, okay. I could understand that a man could also be a shliach l'kabbalah. Why? Because a father could accept a get on behalf of his daughter. So you see, a man could also be a shliach l'kabbalah. Pshait mina isha v'shliach l'kabbalah. Why? Shekain of mekabel get lebite ketana. A father could accept a get for his younger daughter. The question is, can a woman be a shliach l'halacha? Isha l'halacha tibayilach. Mike, could a woman be a shliach l'halacha? So that now says the Gemara, Amar Rav Mari. So Rav Mari has a great raya from what we learned in the first parak of Gittin. Tajma afan noshim she'einem enes leimer meis baila. Even women that are not believed to testify that someone's husband died, these are women that hate, are suspected of hating the woman, like a mother-in-law, like a rival, nemenes lavies gita, are believed to bring the get because they have the get as proof. They have paper as proof. So you see that a woman could be a shliach l'halacha. V'asam halacha, there it's a shliach l'halacha. Says, you're right, that's a proof. And there's also a proof from later on in the Mishnah. Amar Rashi miseifa namish mamina. Diktani seifa isha atzma mevies gita. A woman herself could bring the get. The woman herself could bring the get, and being a shliach l'halacha to bring it to Bezdin, and then Bezdin will give it to her, as long as she says b'fani nechta. Says the Gemara, v'kimna b'halacha. So we see that a woman could be a shliach l'halacha, and like we proved before, a man could be a shliach l'kabbalah, shmamina. Okay, not bad tonight. That wasn't so gut-wrenching, the daf. We've had some very hard dafim. Before we learn the Mishnah Yomi, I also want to mention that I uploaded to YouTube two interesting things. It's my father's yahrzeit this Friday, so I uploaded a talk that I gave about my father in the Woodridge Shul 2 years ago. That's uploaded, and I also uploaded almost an hour and a half shir, strengthening our marriage. It's also uploaded on YouTube, so you can give a look over there. And we're going to do now the Mishnah Yomis.